Dogs, our loyal companions, our furry best friends. But have you ever wondered, what really makes them happiest? What if I told you? There are 25 things your dog absolutely loves, and some of them might surprise you. Stick around because, by the time we hit number 1, you'll know exactly how to make your pup's tail wag like never before. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. Before we jump in, here's a challenge. Can you guess the number 1 thing dogs love the most? Drop your guess in the comments, and let's get started. Dogs bring so much joy into our lives, but have you ever stopped to think about what makes them happiest? Sure, we know they love treats and belly rubs, but what about the little things, those everyday moments that truly make their tails wag? Well, today, we're diving into 25 things dogs absolutely love, from the thrilling chase of a tennis ball to the deep comfort of sleeping beside you at night. But here's the best part. You might not even realize you're already doing some of these things that make your dog's world better. And if you aren't, well, by the end of this video, you'll have plenty of ways to make your furry friend even happier. And just for fun, let's make this interactive. As we go through the list, keep track of how many of these your dog already loves. And if there's one thing your dog is obsessed with that we didn't mention, drop it in the comments below. Who knows, your answer might help another dog owner out. So, whether you're a long-time dog owner or thinking about getting one, this video is for you. Stick around till the very end because the number 1 thing dogs love the most might surprise you. Alright, let's jump right in, starting with number 25, a dog's favorite unexpected adventure. Paw Prints 25. Car rides. You've seen it before. The moment you grab your car keys, your dog's ears perk up, their tail wags uncontrollably, and they practically sprint to the door. But have you ever wondered why dogs love car rides so much? It's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's about the adventure, the smells, the motion, and the bond they share with you. Dogs experience the world primarily through their nose, and a car ride is like a high-speed buffet of incredible smells. While humans have about 6 million scent receptors, dogs have up to 300 million. That means every time you take them on a ride, they're inhaling an entirely new world with every mile. But that's not all. The sensation of movement taps into their primal instincts. In the wild, animals are constantly on the move, tracking, hunting, and exploring. The motion of the car awakens that adventurous spirit in them, making them feel alive and engaged. And let's not forget the bonding factor. For many dogs, car rides mean one thing. They're heading somewhere fun, like the park, the beach, or even just a trip to the pet store. Ever noticed how dogs have a sixth sense when it comes to car rides? I once knew a golden retriever named Max, who could tell the difference between when his owner was grabbing keys for a grocery run, and when it was time for a ride. If it were a boring trip, Max would stay put. But the moment he sensed adventure, he'd be waiting by the door before anyone even said a word. It's like dogs have their own secret car ride code. So, let's settle this. How does your dog react to car rides? Do they jump in instantly, or do they need a little convincing? Drop a comment below, and let's compare stories. Paw Prints 24. Belly rubs. Is there anything more heartwarming than a dog rolling onto their back, looking up at you with those puppy dog eyes, waiting for a belly rub? But here's a question. Do all dogs actually enjoy belly rubs, or is there more to this adorable behavior than we think? Turns out, when a dog exposes their belly, it's not always a clear invitation for rubs. It could mean trust, submission, or pure joy. So how do you tell the difference? Dogs have an area on their bellies called the inguinal region, which contains nerve endings that make belly rubs feel extra soothing. For dogs that love them, rubbing this spot can trigger a release of endorphins, making them feel relaxed and happy, just like how humans feel after a good massage. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all dogs enjoy belly rubs. In the dog world, exposing the belly can be a sign of submission rather than an actual request for petting. Some dogs roll over to say, "Hey, I trust you," rather than, "Please rub my belly." That's why some pups may flinch or tense up when you reach down. It's their way of saying, "Not today, human." So, the secret? Watch their body language. A happy, wiggly dog with a relaxed tail? Belly rub approved. A stiff, still dog with tucked ears? Better skip it. I once met a Labrador named Daisy, who had a hilarious belly rub strategy. Every time she wanted a rub, she would walk up to someone, make direct eye contact, and dramatically flop onto her back, as if saying, "You know what to do." And if you stopped too soon, she'd nudge your hand as if to say, "Excuse me, I wasn't done yet." But then there's my friend's Chihuahua, Peanut. Try rubbing his belly, and he'd snap out of relaxation mode instantly, as if saying, "Hands off, human." So, what about your dog? Are they a belly rub lover like Daisy or a no-touch zone like Peanut? Comment below, and let's see which team wins, Team Belly Rubs or Team No Thanks. Paw Prints 23. New smell. Have you ever taken your dog outside, only to have them freeze in place, nose twitching, completely locked in on a scent you can't even detect? It's like they just uncovered a hidden world, and in a way, they have. But why are dogs so obsessed with new smells, and what exactly are they sniffing? For dogs, every new scent is like reading an entire novel in a single breath, and trust me, they're never skipping chapters. To put it simply, dogs experience the world through their nose first, then their eyes. While we humans rely mostly on sight, dogs' sense of smell is up to 100,000 times stronger than ours. That means when we walk into a room and smell dinner, they smell every ingredient, where it came from, and even who touched it last. And here's where it gets even more mind-blowing. Dogs have a special organ called the Jacobson's organ, located on the roof of their mouth, which allows them to detect pheromones and chemical signals. This is why your dog might suddenly stop, lift their nose, and appear to taste the air. Every scent carries a story: who was here, what they ate, even their mood. That's why dogs love exploring new places. It's not just about the sights, it's about the endless information waiting to be sniffed. I once knew a beagle named Oliver who took his daily walks very seriously. While most dogs enjoy a casual stroll, Oliver had a mission. Every patch of grass, every lamppost, every mailbox had to be investigated. It was like watching a detective at work. His owner joked that walks took twice as long because Oliver had to read the neighborhood newspaper, aka sniffs every single inch of the sidewalk. And if you've ever tried pulling your dog away from a really interesting scent, you know the struggle is real. So, how about your dog? Are they quick sniffer, or an obsessive scent detective like Oliver? And have they ever refused to move because they were too busy sniffing something? Paw Prints 22. Playing in the snow. Have you ever let your dog outside on a snowy day, only to watch them completely lose their mind? The zoom eyes kick in. They start rolling, digging, and even trying to eat the snow. But what is it about snow that turns dogs into absolute maniacs? Well, it turns out there's some science behind this snow-fueled excitement. First, let's talk about temperature. Dogs have a higher body temperature than humans, averaging around 101 to 102.5 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 to 39 degrees Celsius, which means that cool, fluffy snow feels refreshing against their skin, especially for breeds with thick fur like Huskies, Malamutes, and Bernese Mountain Dogs. But even dogs who don't naturally thrive in cold climates still love snow because of its texture and smell. Snow changes the way their environment feels under their paws. Suddenly, the ground is soft, crunchy, and full of hidden scents waiting to be uncovered. And get this, snow actually enhances smells for dogs. When snow falls, it traps scents from the ground below, preserving them longer. So when your dog is shoving their nose into a snowbank, they're not just playing, they're sniffing out an entire world beneath the surface. I'll never forget the first time my friend's Labrador, Buddy, saw snow. He stepped outside, took one sniff, and then, boom. Full-on zoom eyes. He was running in circles, diving headfirst into the snow, rolling around like it was the best thing he'd ever seen. And the funniest part? He kept trying to catch snowflakes in his mouth like they were falling treats. But then there's my cousin's Chihuahua, Peanut. The moment his paws touched the snow, he looked like pure betrayal, turned around, and marched straight back inside. Guess snow isn't for every pup. So, does your dog go crazy for snow like Buddy, or do they run back inside like Peanut? And if you live somewhere with no snow, what's your dog's favorite kind of weather? I'd love to hear your stories. Paw Prints 21. Sleeping in your bed. You tuck yourself in, get comfortable, and within seconds, there's a furry lump making itself right at home in your bed. Whether they're curling up by your feet, stretching across your pillow, or wedging themselves right in the middle, dogs seem to love sleeping in their human bed. But why? Is it just about comfort, or is there something deeper at play? Well, as it turns out, there's a fascinating biological and emotional reason behind this nighttime habit. In the wild, dogs are pack animals, and pack members sleep close together for warmth, security, and bonding. When your dog chooses to sleep in your bed, they're instinctively treating you as part of their pack. It's their way of saying, "You're family, and I feel safest when I'm near you." But it's not just about instinct. Studies show that dogs who sleep close to their owners experience reduced anxiety and stress levels. Your presence provides a sense of security, and in return, your dog helps regulate your sleep by making you feel more relaxed. It's a two-way street. And let's not forget body heat. Dogs naturally gravitate toward warmth, and since human body temperature is higher than a blanket, you're basically a living, breathing heated mattress for them. There's a joke among dog owners that the smaller the dog, the more bed space they take up, and it's absolutely true. My friend has a 10-pound dachshund named Milo, and somehow, every single night, he manages to take up half the bed. He stretches out like a king, leaving his owner curled up in a tiny corner. Then there's Bella, a 90-pound golden retriever, who thinks she's the size of a chihuahua. Every night, she insists on climbing into bed, plopping down right on top of her owner's legs, making sure no one moves until morning. Now, let's hear about your dog. Are they a snugglebug, or do they prefer their own bed? And be honest, who takes up more space, you or your dog? Drop a comment below, and let's compare notes. Paw Prints 20. Tearing apart their toys. You buy your dog a brand new plush toy, and within minutes, stuffing everywhere. Shredded ears, missing limbs, total destruction. It might seem like they have a personal vendetta against their toys, but the truth is, this behavior is completely natural and incredibly satisfying for them. So, why do dogs love to destroy their toys, and is it actually good for them? Believe it or not, your dog's urge to shred, rip, and tear comes from their ancestors. Wild canines, like wolves, rely on hunting instincts to catch and dismantle their prey. That same instinct kicks in when your dog gets a squeaky plush toy in their mouth. Except, instead of hunting for food, they're satisfying their natural drive to kill the squeaker. The act of shaking and tearing apart a toy mimics how wild dogs would handle small prey. And the squeaky noise? That's extra rewarding because in the wild, a captured animal would make small, high-pitched sounds, which is why some dogs won't stop until the squeaker is completely dead. But don't worry, this doesn't mean your dog is aggressive. In fact, this type of play helps them burn energy, relieve stress, and keep their minds engaged. That's why certain breeds, especially terriers and retrievers, are more prone to this behavior. They were bred for hunting, so their instincts are stronger. I once met a Labrador named Rocky, and his owner had a running joke. No toy survived longer than 5 minutes. Every time he got a new plush toy, it was a countdown to destruction. They even started a record-keeping system to see which toy lasted the longest. The current record? 6 minutes and 38 seconds. And then there's Luna, a tiny Yorkie who doesn't tear her toys apart. She surgically removes the squeaker with precision, like a professional toy surgeon. Now, let's settle this. What's the fastest your dog has ever destroyed a toy? And do they go for the squeaker first or the stuffing? Tell me in the comments. I need to know who holds the record for the fastest toy destruction. Paw Prints 19. Sticking their head out of the car window. The car door opens, and before you even start the engine, your dog is already positioning themselves perfectly. Nose pressed against the window, waiting for the ultimate thrill. The moment the glass rolls down, their head shoots out, ears flapping in the wind, tongue hanging out like they just won the lottery. But what makes this simple act so irresistible to dogs? Is it the wind, the speed, or something even more fascinating? For dogs, this isn't just about feeling the wind in their fur, this is a full-on sensory overload, and they love every second of it. As you drive, the moving air brings hundreds of new scents per second directly to their nose, creating a rush of information their brain absolutely thrives on. To put it in perspective, dogs have up to 300 million scent receptors, while humans have around 6 million. That means, while you're just enjoying a breeze, your dog is experiencing a whole new world of smells flying past them at highway speed. And let's not forget the sheer exhilaration of it. The sensation of motion, the changing scenery, the fresh air, it's like an amusement park ride for them. Even dogs who aren't fans of car rides often change their minds when they get to stick their head out. A friend of mine has 2 dogs, Charlie, a golden retriever, and Bruno, a boxer. The moment they get in the car, it's a race to see who can claim the best window seat. Charlie always wins, stretching his whole body across the seat so Bruno doesn't get a chance. And the funniest part? When Charlie's had enough, he'll switch windows to experience the ride from a whole new angle. Of course, some dogs take it even further. I've seen dogs who insist on sitting in the front seat just for a better view. Alright, let's hear it. Does your dog hog the window, or do they prefer staying inside? And what's the funniest thing they've ever done on a car ride? Tell me, I'm ready for some hilarious stories. Paw Prints 18. Digging. 1 minute, your backyard is perfectly fine, and the next, it looks like a mini excavation site. Dirt flying, paws moving at lightning speed, and your dog looking way too proud of the mess they just made. But what's behind this obsession with digging? Is it just fun, Or is there something deeper going on? It turns out this isn't just random behavior. Digging is hardwired into many dogs, and the reasons behind it might surprise you. Digging is an instinct that dates back thousands of years. Before dogs became our couch-loving companions, their wild ancestors had to dig to survive, whether it was to create a safe, cool spot to rest or to bury food for later. Even today, dogs dig for several reasons. Some do it to cool off in the summer, as the earth beneath the surface is much cooler than the top layer. Others dig to hide treasures, especially breeds like terriers and dachshunds, who were bred to burrow and hunt underground animals. And then there are the entertainment diggers, dogs who dig purely because it's fun. The feeling of moving dirt, the possibility of uncovering something interesting, it's like their version of a treasure hunt. A friend of mine had a husky named Luna who took digging to the next level. One day, she went into the backyard and found that Luna had completely vanished. Panic set in, until she noticed a brand new hole under the fence. That's right, Luna had dug her way to freedom. And if you've ever owned a husky, you know they don't just dig for fun, they dig with a purpose. Meanwhile, my other friend's beagle, Toby, doesn't escape. He just buries everything. Bones, toys, even his owner's socks. Then, 2 days later, he digs them back up like he just found a hidden treasure. Now, I've got to know, is your dog a digger? Do they bury their favorite things? Or are they secretly trying to tunnel to the other side of the world? Paw Prints 17. Chasing things. A ball, a squirrel, a shadow. If it moves, chances are your dog is already on it. 1 second, they're calmly walking by your side, and the next, they're sprinting at full speed after something only they seem to care about. But what makes dogs so obsessed with chasing things, and why does it bring them so much joy? It turns out this behavior isn't just about fun, it's deeply ingrained in their DNA. Chasing is a natural predatory instinct that dogs inherited from their wild ancestors. Before they were domesticated, wolves and wild dogs relied on their speed and agility to hunt for food. The act of spotting movement, locking in on the target, and going after it is something that's hardwired into them, even if the prey is just a tennis ball. Different breeds have different chase drives. Greyhounds and whippets were bred for speed, which is why they love to sprint after anything that moves. Herding breeds like Border Collies and Australian Shepherds have a chase instinct that's more focused and controlled, often seen when they try to herd other animals, or even people. And let's not forget, chasing isn't just about instincts. It also triggers a release of dopamine, the feel-good chemical in the brain. That's why dogs get pure joy from the thrill of the chase, even if they never actually catch the thing they're after. A friend of mine has a Labrador named Max, and if you throw a ball for him, he will chase it forever. There is no stopping him. The only way to end the game is to hide the ball literally, and even then, he'll spend the next 20 minutes sniffing for it. And then there's Bella, a German Shepherd, who isn't interested in balls or frisbees, but the moment she spots a squirrel, gone. It doesn't matter if she's on a leash or behind a fence, she's convinced she can catch it. Alright, let's hear it. What's the craziest thing your dog has ever chased? Are they fetch people with an addiction like Max, or do they go full hunter mode when they see a squirrel? Drop your best chasing stories in the comments. Paw Prints 16. Rolling in grass. You take your dog outside, and the moment they see a patch of grass, boom. They drop to the ground, wiggle their back, and start rolling around like they just found the greatest thing ever. Legs kicking, tail wagging, completely lost in the moment. But what is it about fresh grass that makes dogs so eager to drop and roll? Believe it or not, this isn't just random behavior. There's actually a science-backed reason why dogs love doing this. One of the biggest reasons dogs roll in the grass is scent marking. Wild canines, like wolves and foxes, roll in different scents to either mask their own smell or leave a trace behind for others. It's their way of saying, "I was here." But that's not all. Rolling in grass can also be a form of self-grooming. While it might seem counterintuitive, some dogs use grass to scratch an itch or rub off dirt and loose fur. And then there's the pure joy factor. The texture of grass, the coolness on their back, and the sheer freedom of rolling around feel amazing to them. It's like getting a back massage, except they're doing it all on their own. Certain breeds, especially hounds and retrievers, tend to roll more because they were historically bred for tracking and hunting, which involved rolling in different scents to blend into their surroundings. My neighbor has a golden retriever named Daisy, and the moment she steps onto fresh grass, it's game over. No matter how much her owner tries to keep her moving, Daisy flops down, wiggles onto her back, and refuses to get up until she's had her fill of rolling. And then there's my friend's beagle Leo, who takes things a step further. He doesn't just roll in regular grass. He searches for the stinkiest patches possible. If there's a spot where another dog or animal has been, he will find it, roll in it, and wear that scent like a badge of honor. Now, I have to ask, does your dog love rolling in the grass, or do they only do it when they find something suspiciously smelly? And what's the funniest thing they've ever rolled in? Paw prints 15. Watching out the window. A dog sitting by the window isn't just looking outside, they're on patrol. Ears perked, eyes scanning, tail occasionally wagging. It's like they're the neighborhood watch team, security guard, and curious bystander all in one. But what makes staring out the window so fascinating for dogs? It turns out there's more to this habit than just passive entertainment. It's deeply rooted in their instincts and emotions. Dogs are naturally curious and territorial. In the wild, canines keep watch over their surroundings to detect threats, spot food, and monitor their pack members. Even though your dog isn't in the wilderness, that same instinct kicks in when they watch out the window. But it's not just about protection. Dogs also love watching the world go by because it provides mental stimulation. The sights, sounds, and movements outside keep their minds engaged, preventing boredom. And then, of course, there's the emotional connection. If your dog knows certain people or animals, like the mail carrier, a neighbor, or another dog, they look forward to spotting them every day. Some dogs even recognize the sound of their owner's car before they even pull into the driveway. For dogs left alone during the day, window watching can be a way to pass the time and feel connected to what's happening outside their home. It's like their version of watching TV. In a small town, a Great Dane named Bruno became famous for his window-watching skills. Every afternoon, as kids walked home from school, he'd be sitting in the same spot, staring out with the most serious expression, like he was taking notes on everything happening on the street. And then there's a border collie, who takes her job very seriously. The moment she spots a squirrel, a bird, or even just a leaf blowing by, she lets out an urgent bark as if announcing a national emergency. She's not just watching, she's actively reporting. What about your dog? Are they a silent observer or a full-time commentator? And what's the funniest thing they've ever reacted to while staring out the window? Paw prints 14. Playing in water. The moment water appears, whether it's a lake, a pool, a sprinkler, or even just a hose, some dogs lose all self-control. They jump in, splash around, and sometimes they even try to bite the water like it's an actual living thing. But what is it about water that makes certain dogs go absolutely wild with excitement? It turns out, for many dogs, playing in the water isn't just fun, it's instinctive. Not all dogs love water, but for those that do, it often comes down to history and breed genetics. Certain breeds, like retrievers, Newfoundlands, and poodles, were originally bred to retrieve game from water, meaning their love for swimming is practically built into their DNA. Even dogs that aren't natural swimmers enjoy water for another reason. It's cooling and refreshing. On a hot day, water absorbs heat from their body, helping them regulate their temperature. That's why even dogs who avoid deep water might still love splashing through puddles or standing in a kiddie pool. And then there's the movement factor. The sensation of paddling through water is low impact but stimulating, making it an ideal exercise for senior dogs or pups with joint issues. It allows them to stay active without putting too much stress on their legs. At a local dog park, there's a Labrador named Tucker who has become a legend. Every summer, the park sets up a small dog-friendly pool, and the moment it's filled, Tucker is the first one in. He'll spend hours diving for toys, splashing his friends, and making sure everyone around him is just as soaked as he is. And then there is a tiny Yorkshire Terrier, who refuses to get wet until she sees the garden hose. The moment the sprinkler turns on, she transforms into a water-chasing maniac, trying to bite every single drop that sprays in her direction. What about your dog? Are they a silent observer or a full-time commentator? And what's the funniest thing they've ever reacted to while staring out the window? Paw prints 13. Chewing on things. Shoes, furniture, remote controls, and even things they definitely shouldn't be chewing. Some dogs seem determined to sink their teeth into anything they can get their paws on. But is this just random mischief, or is there a real reason why dogs love to chew? It turns out that for dogs, chewing isn't just a habit, it's a deeply ingrained instinct that serves multiple purposes. For puppies, chewing is a natural part of teething. Just like human babies, they go through discomfort when their new teeth come in, and chewing helps relieve the pressure on their gums. For adult dogs, chewing is more than just a way to keep busy. It's mentally stimulating, stress-relieving, and even essential for their health. The act of chewing produces endorphins, the same feel-good chemicals that humans get from activities like exercise or eating their favorite food. And then there's the dental factor. In the wild, dogs and their ancestors chewed on bones to help keep their teeth clean and strong. Modern dogs don't have to hunt. but that natural urge to gnaw on something never went away. That's why many dogs find comfort in chewing on things, even if it's your favorite shoe. Certain breeds, like Labradors and Pit Bulls, are known for their powerful jaws and high chewing drive, which means they're more likely to seek out things to chomp on when they're bored or excited. A dog once had a perfectly good chew toy, but instead, they chose an entire couch cushion. Within minutes, stuffing was everywhere, like a miniature snowstorm had hit the living room. And despite the chaos, they sat in the middle of the destruction, tail wagging, looking extremely proud of their work. And then there's the classic case of the vanishing shoe, a perfectly normal shoe left by the door, only to mysteriously disappear. Only to be found hours later, completely unrecognizable, with chew marks as evidence of a guilty party. Alright, let's hear it. What's the worst thing your dog has ever chewed up? Did they look guilty afterward, or were they proud of their masterpiece? Drop your best chewing disaster stories in the comments. Paw prints 12. Belly crawling. A dog creeping forward on its belly. Slow, low to the ground, tail wagging, almost like they're on a secret mission. Sometimes, they do it during play, sometimes when they're approaching another dog, and other times, just because. But what does this strange, slinky movement actually mean? As funny as it looks, belly crawling is actually a natural canine behavior that serves different purposes depending on the situation. One of the biggest reasons dogs belly crawls is instinctive communication. In the wild, wolves and wild dogs use lowered body postures to show submission and respect to higher-ranking members of the pack. When your dog belly crawls toward you or another dog, they're often saying, "I mean no harm." But belly crawling isn't just about social behavior. It's also a playful move. Many dogs use it when they're feeling energetic but don't want to break their stealth mode. You'll often see puppies belly crawling as part of their natural play fighting skills, testing out different ways to interact with others. And then there's the sneaky factor. Some dogs belly crawl when they're trying to get closer to something without drawing attention. Whether that's a toy, a treat, or even a person they're excited to greet. It's like their version of a tactical approach. Interestingly, belly crawling is also a strength-building movement. Trainers sometimes encourage it as an exercise for dogs recovering from injuries or those learning agility skills because it engages their core muscles and coordination. A dog once saw their favorite toy sitting just a few feet away, but instead of running to grab it, they belly crawled inch by inch, completely convinced that if they moved slow enough, no one would notice. It took them a full 2 minutes to get there, but when they finally reached the toy, they pounced like a hunter on the ultimate prize. And then there's the overly dramatic greeting crawl, where a dog sees their favorite person, but instead of running to them, they belly crawl across the room like they're sneaking into a top-secret meeting. So, does your dog belly crawl for fun, as a sneaky trick, or when they're excited to see you? And what's the funniest thing they've ever belly crawled toward? I can't wait to hear them. Paw prints 11. Carrying things in their mouth. A shoe, a sock, a favorite toy. Some dogs don't just pick things up. They proudly carry them around like prized possessions. Some won't go anywhere without their chosen object, while others seem to grab the most random thing in sight before greeting someone. But what makes dogs love carrying things in their mouth? As funny as it looks, this behavior actually has deep instinctual and emotional roots. Dogs are natural retrievers, even breeds that weren't specifically bred for it. In the wild, carrying objects, food, or even small prey back to their pack is an instinct. Some dogs today still have that deeply embedded behavior, which is why they love carrying things from one place to another. But it's not just about instincts, there's an emotional side to this, too. Dogs often carry things that smell like their favorite humans as a way to feel comforted and connected. That's why they steal socks, shoes, or even blankets and walk around with them. And then there's the gift-giving behavior. Some dogs bring their owners toys or random objects as a way of sharing treasures. It's their way of saying, "Look what I found." Or, "This is important to me, so I'm giving it to you." Certain breeds, like golden retrievers and spaniels, have a higher drive to carry objects because they were originally bred to retrieve game during hunting. But even smaller dogs or breeds without a history of retrieving still show this behavior, especially when they're excited or seeking attention. A dog once developed an obsession with carrying shoes, not chewing them, not hiding them, just carrying them. Every time someone walked through the door, the dog would grab the nearest shoe, proudly parade it around, and only put it down once they got belly rubs in return. It didn't matter if the shoe was big, small, or even a flip-flop. If it was available, it was getting carried. And then there's the case of the toy tax, where a dog refuses to greet someone unless they accept the toy they're offering first, like a toll payment for attention. What's the weirdest thing your dog loves to carry around? Do they have a favorite comfort item, or do they grab the first thing they see? Drop your funniest carrying stories in the comments. I want to hear them all. Paw prints 10. Running at full speed, zoom eyes. 1 second, a dog is calmly sitting, and the next, they're racing in circles, leaping over furniture, and running like they've completely lost their mind. It's fast, it's unpredictable, and it's one of the most entertaining things a dog can do. But what causes this sudden burst of energy, also known as the zoom eyes? Believe it or not, zoom eyes are more than just random excitement. There's a scientific reason behind them. The official term for zoom eyes is frenetic random activity periods, FRAPs. These bursts of energy usually happen when a dog feels overjoyed, relieved, or suddenly free from stress. It's like their body is overflowing with excitement, and they can't contain it any longer. Zoom eyes often occur after a bath, after being let outside, or late at night when a dog still has leftover energy to burn. Even though it looks chaotic, zoom eyes actually help dogs relieve pent-up tension and regulate their emotions. And here's the funny part, zoom eyes aren't just for puppies. While young dogs are more likely to do it, even older dogs will occasionally break into an unexpected full-speed sprint just for the pure joy of movement. Breeds with high energy levels, like Border Collies, Huskies, and Jack Russell Terriers, tend to experience zoom eyes more often because their bodies are wired for intense bursts of action. A dog was once peacefully lying on the couch, looking half asleep, when suddenly, zoom, they launched off like a rocket, tearing through the house, bouncing off walls, and skidding across the floor. Their tail wagged wildly as they spun in circles for no reason at all. After a full minute of pure chaos, they flopped onto the floor, panting with satisfaction. Mission complete. Does your dog get random zoom eyes out of nowhere, or do they have a specific trigger, like bath time, excitement, or late at night? And what's the funniest zoomy moment you've ever witnessed? Share your best stories in the comments. I need to hear them. Paw prints 9. Digging in blankets. A perfectly smooth blanket never stays that way for long when a dog is around. Within seconds, they start pawing, digging, and circling, almost like they're trying to create the perfect nest. Some do it before bedtime, some right after jumping onto the couch, and some just because. But what makes dogs so obsessed with fixing their blankets before they settle down? As funny as it looks, this behavior actually has deep roots in canine instincts. This seemingly random habit is actually a survival instinct that dates back thousands of years. Before domestication, wild dogs and wolves would dig into dirt, leaves, or snow to create a comfortable, insulated sleeping spot. This helped them stay warm in colder temperatures and gave them a feeling of security. Even though modern dogs have soft beds and cozy blankets, that nesting instinct never really went away. Digging in blankets mimics the behavior of their ancestors, helping them feel comfortable before they rest. Some dogs also do this to mark their territory. Dogs have scent glands in their paws, and when they dig into blankets or bedding, they leave behind their unique scent, making their sleeping spot feel even more familiar and safe. And then there's the burrowing factor. Some breeds, especially small dogs like dachshunds and chihuahuas, are natural burrowers. They instinctively love to dig, nest, and snuggle under blankets, almost as if they're building a tiny personal den. A dog was once given a brand new, perfectly folded blanket for their bed. Within seconds, they started digging, flipping, and bunching it up into a shape that made sense only to them. It didn't matter that their human had just neatly arranged it, this was a personal project now. And then there's the full burrower. Some dogs won't just dig in blankets, they'll completely disappear under them, leaving only a little lump behind. If there's a cozy pile of blankets, they're going in. Is your dog a blanket digger, a nest builder, or a full-on burrower? And what's the funniest thing they've ever done with a blanket? Paw prints 8. Sunbathing. A dog finds the perfect spot near a window or out in the yard, flops down and stretches out like they're on vacation. Eyes half closed, completely still, soaking in the warmth of the sun. It doesn't matter if it's summer or winter, if there's a sunny spot, a dog will find it. But why do dogs love sunbathing so much? It turns out there's more to this behavior than just pure relaxation, it's actually good for them. One of the biggest reasons dogs love to sunbathe is temperature regulation. Even though dogs have fur, their bodies still crave warmth, especially short-haired breeds or dogs that get chilly easily. Lying in the sun helps them stay warm and comfortable. But the benefits go beyond warmth. Sunlight is a natural source of vitamin D, which helps dogs absorb calcium and maintain strong bones and muscles. Unlike humans, dogs don't absorb vitamin D directly through their skin. Instead, the oils in their fur capture the vitamin, which they then absorb when they groom themselves. Sunbathing can also help regulate a dog's mood. Just like humans, Exposure to sunlight boosts serotonin levels, making them feel more relaxed and happy. That's why some dogs seek out sunspots even when they aren't cold. It just feels good. However, too much sunbathing isn't always safe. Dogs can overheat or get sunburned, especially light-colored or short-haired breeds. That's why you'll sometimes see a sunbathing dog suddenly move to the shade. It's their way of self-regulating. A dog once had an entire comfortable bed in the shade, yet every day, they chose to squeeze into the tiniest patch of sunlight coming through the window. It didn't matter if the spot was barely big enough. If there was sun, that's where they had to be. Some dogs even become sun chasers, following the light across the floor throughout the day, making sure they never miss a single warm spot. Is your dog a dedicated sun worshipper, or do they prefer cooler shady spots? And what's the funniest or laziest position they've ever sunbathed in? Paw prints 7. Sticking their nose in everything. A bag of groceries, a pile of laundry, a visitor's shoes. If something new enters the house, a dog's nose is the first to inspect it. They don't just glance at things. They get up close and personal, sniffing every inch like it holds the world's greatest secret. But what makes dogs so obsessed with smelling everything? This behavior isn't just curiosity, it's how they understand the world. For dogs, smelling is like reading a book. Every scent tells a story. While humans rely mostly on sight, dogs experience the world through their noses first. Their sense of smell is up to 100,000 times more powerful than ours, allowing them to detect things we can't even imagine. A dog's nose has around 300 million scent receptors, compared to a human's 6 million. That means they can smell layers of information: who's been somewhere, what they ate, their mood, and even whether another animal was there before them. This is why dogs are used in search and rescue, medical detection, and even identifying stress levels in humans. Their noses are so sensitive they can detect diseases like cancer and diabetes just by sniffing a person. But for everyday dogs, sniffing everything is a way to gather information and feel connected to their surroundings. A new box in the house? They need to know where it's been. A jacket left on the chair? That jacket smells like an adventure. A dog once had a very important job: inspecting groceries. Every time a bag was placed on the counter, they'd immediately investigate, sniffing each item like a detective piecing together a case. It didn't matter if it was fruits, vegetables, or even things they weren't interested in. They had to approve every single thing before it was put away. And then there's the case of the shoe sniffer, a dog so obsessed with new scents that the moment a guest arrived, their shoes became the #1 priority for investigation. It wasn't about chewing, just a thorough scent analysis. Does your dog inspect everything in the house, or do they have a specific item they're obsessed with sniffing? And what's the funniest thing they've ever fixated on? Paw prints 6. Being told they're a good dog. A simple phrase, 2 little words, but the moment a dog hears them, their tail wags, their ears perk up, and they look at you with pure happiness. Good dog. It's a phrase that seems to hold magical powers, but why do dogs respond so strongly to being praised? It turns out this isn't just about feeling appreciated. There's real science behind why dogs love hearing they're good. Dogs don't just recognize the sound of praise, they actually process the emotion behind it. Studies show that when dogs hear a happy, encouraging voice, their brains light up in the same way human brains do when receiving compliments. That means dogs don't just like praise, they feel it deeply. But here's what's even more fascinating. Dogs prefer verbal praise over food rewards in many situations. While treats are always a great motivator, research has shown that some dogs actually choose affection and verbal encouragement over snacks when given the option. And then there's the tone factor. Dogs don't just listen to words, they listen to how they're said. A happy, high-pitched, good dog releases dopamine, the same feel-good chemical that humans experience when they achieve something great. That's why they react so enthusiastically when praised. Over time, hearing positive reinforcement strengthens their bond with their owner, creating a cycle where they associate good behavior with love, approval, and happiness. A dog once mastered the art of milking praise for all it was worth. Every time they heard, "good dog," they'd go into full celebration mode, jumping, spinning, wagging their tail as if they had just won an award. If you kept saying it, they'd keep celebrating as if trying to set a new record for the longest happy dance ever. And then there's the dog who learned that being called a good dog meant more belly rubs, more attention, and sometimes even a treat. So what did they do? Randomly sit, give a paw, or look extra cute to hear those magic words. How does your dog react when you call them a good dog? Do they wag their tail, do a happy dance, or demand extra attention? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear how your dog celebrates their greatness. Paw prints 5. Fetch, but not always return the ball. A ball is thrown, and in an instant, a dog takes off like a rocket. Full speed, eyes locked on the target, completely focused. They grab the ball, tail wagging, and then, instead of bringing it back, they either run away with it, drop it halfway, or sit down and chew on it. So, why do some dogs love playing fetch but refuse actually to return the ball? It turns out fetch isn't just a game, it's linked to a dog's instincts and personality. Fetch is an instinctive game because it mimics hunting behavior. Many breeds, especially retrievers, were bred to retrieve game for hunters, so their DNA naturally tells them to chase, grab, and bring things back. But here's the twist, not all dogs were bred for retrieving. Some breeds have a stronger prey drive than a retrieve drive. That means they love the chase, but once they have the ball, their instinct says, "I caught it, my job is done." That's why some dogs grab the ball and sit there, satisfied with their catch. And then there's the keep-away players, dogs who grab the ball and sprint away instead of bringing it back. This usually happens because they see the game as a fun chase rather than a cooperative activity. In their minds, making you chase them is part of the game. Interestingly, some dogs actually train their humans without us realizing it. If a dog figures out that running away with the ball gets their owner to chase them, they'll keep doing it just for fun. A dog once had an undefeated record in the game of keep away. Every time a ball was thrown, they'd retrieve it, but the moment someone reached out to take it back, they'd take off in the opposite direction. It didn't matter if another ball was offered, they wanted to be chased every single time. And then there's the dog who plays fetch, but only halfway. They'll run after the ball, pick it up, then drop it exactly halfway back, forcing their human to walk the rest of the way. A true fetch negotiator. What about your dog? Are they a perfect fetch player, a keep-away master, or a fetch halfway type? And what's the funniest thing they've ever done during a game of fetch? I need to hear these fetch fail stories. Paw Prints 4. Getting the zoom eyes after a bath. The bath is over, the towel has done its job, and suddenly, boom! A dog explodes into a high-speed frenzy, racing around the house, rolling on the floor, shaking off imaginary water, and leaping onto furniture like they just won a race. It's chaotic, it's hilarious, and it happens almost every time. But what causes this post-bath madness, also known as the bath time zoom eyes? It turns out there's a real scientific reason behind this burst of energy. Bath time zoom eyes, or frenetic random activity periods, FRAPs, are a way for dogs to release built-up energy and stress. For many dogs, baths are a strange and sometimes uncomfortable experience. Not because they dislike being clean, but because the process of getting wet, lathered, and dried feels unnatural to them. One reason for the zoom eyes? Water weight. A wet coat makes a dog feel heavier and slower, so the moment they're free, they instinctively try to shake off the excess moisture and restore their usual agility. Another reason is scent restoration. Dogs rely on their natural body scent for comfort, and a bath strips away their familiar smell. That's why after a bath, many dogs roll on carpets, furniture, or even the grass. It's their way of reclaiming their signature scent. And, of course, sometimes the zoom eyes are just pure joy. The feeling of being clean, fresh, and free makes them burst with excitement, and the only way to express it is to run at full speed. A dog was once bathed, toweled off, and the moment they were set free, they launched into turbo mode. Zooming through the house, sliding across floors, diving onto furniture, and rolling dramatically, like they were staging their action movie. The bath had ended, but for them, the real event had just begun. And then there are the strategic rollers, dogs who immediately find the worst possible place to dry off. A pile of laundry, the sofa, or even the backyard dirt. If they can undo the bath, they will. Paw Prints 3. Getting treats, especially homemade ones. The sound of a treat bag opening, the crinkle of the wrapper, or the simple word treat. And suddenly, a dog is on high alert. Eyes wide, tail wagging, ears perked up, and sometimes even a perfectly executed sit before you even ask. But why do dogs get so over-the-top excited for treats, especially when they know they're getting something homemade? It turns out treats aren't just about taste. They trigger a chemical reaction in the brain that makes dogs feel pure joy. Dogs have taste buds similar to humans, but they experience flavor in a completely different way. While we have around 9,000 taste buds, dogs only have about 1,700, but what they lack in taste buds, they make up for with their sense of smell. Since dogs rely on their nose more than their tongue, the aroma of a treat is just as important as its taste. That's why they can get excited before even tasting it. Their nose tells them this is something amazing. And then there's the dopamine effect. When a dog eats a treat, Their brain releases dopamine, the same feel-good chemical that humans experience when eating something delicious. It reinforces the idea that treats are special, making dogs eager to earn more. But homemade treats? Those are a different level of excitement. Many commercial treats contain additives and preservatives, while homemade treats are often made with fresh, natural ingredients that smell and taste even better to a dog's sensitive nose. Plus, they can associate the act of baking or preparation with something positive happening just for them. A dog once figured out the power of the treat jar. They would walk up to it, stare at it, and then look back at their owner, waiting for a response. If ignored, they'd throw in a tiny whimper, followed by a dramatic sit, then a perfect paw shake, all without being asked. They weren't just waiting for a treat, they were negotiating for one. And then there's the dog who could somehow tell the difference between store-bought treats and homemade ones. They'd happily take either, but if they knew it was homemade? Instant zoom eyes of joy before even taking a bite. What's your dog's favorite treat, store-bought or homemade? And have they ever tried to sneak an extra one with their best good dog tricks? Tell me your funniest treat stories. I know there are some great ones out there. Paw prints 2. Walks, even if they just came back from one. The leash barely moves, and suddenly, a dog is at the door, wagging their tail like they just won the lottery. It doesn't matter if they just got back from a long walk. The second they think another one is happening, they're ready to go all over again. But why do dogs seem to have an unlimited desire for walks? It turns out walks aren't just about exercise, they fulfill a powerful instinctual need in dogs. Dogs don't just see walks as a way to stretch their legs, they see them as an adventure. Every walk is an opportunity to explore new scents, mark their territory, and interact with their environment. Since their sense of smell is up to 100,000 times stronger than ours, a walk is like scrolling through a brand new social media feed filled with fresh updates. But the excitement isn't just about sniffing. Walks help dogs release pent-up energy and stress. Just like humans feel refreshed after a good workout, dogs feel mentally and physically satisfied after a walk. That's why, even if they just had one, they'll still get excited at the idea of another. Walks also provide a pack bonding experience. In the wild, dogs travel together as a pack, and walking with their human mimics that natural behavior. The more they walk with their family, the stronger the bond becomes. And let's not forget, some dogs use their cuteness as a strategy. If they know that sitting by the door or giving puppy eyes has led to an extra walk in the past, they'll keep trying it. After all, why not go again? A dog once had an amazing talent. No matter how quietly someone touched the leash, they heard it every time. Even from another room, even if it was barely moved, their ears perked up, and they ran straight to the door, already celebrating a walk that wasn't even confirmed yet. And then there's the dog who had a backup strategy. If the leash weren't taken out, they'd bring it themselves, proudly dropping it at their human's feet as if to say, "You forgot something. Let's go." Is your dog always ready for a walk, or do they prefer shorter strolls? And what's the funniest thing they've done when they wanted an extra one? I'd love to hear about these unstoppable walking champions. Paw prints 1. They're human. Treats, toys, belly rubs, and walks are all amazing. But if dogs had to choose just one thing they love the most, the answer is always the same: you. No matter how exciting the world is, nothing compares to being with their favorite person. But what makes this bond so powerful? The love between a dog and their human isn't just emotional. It's biological and deeply ingrained in their nature. Dogs are pack animals by nature, and in the wild, they rely on their pack members for survival, comfort, and social structure. When they become part of a human family, they see their humans as their pack, their source of security and belonging. But it's not just about instinct. Science has proven that when dogs look at their humans, their brains release oxytocin, the same hormone that strengthens the bond between parents and their children. That's right, dogs don't just see you as a leader, they see you as family. And this love goes beyond food or shelter. Studies show that dogs prefer human interaction over rewards, meaning they genuinely crave time with their people more than they crave treats or toys. That's why they follow you from room to room, why they get excited when you come home, and why even the simplest cuddle can make their entire day. A dog once had a daily ritual. Every single time their human came home, they performed a full-body happy dance. Tail wagging, jumping, spinning in circles, as if they had been apart for months, even though it had only been a few hours. And then there's the dog who insists on always being near their human, even if that means curling up next to them in the smallest possible space, whether on the couch, the bed, or even squeezing onto a tiny chair just to be close. What's the sweetest thing your dog does to show they love you? Do they greet you with unstoppable excitement, follow you everywhere, or cuddle up like you're their favorite pillow? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear all the heart-melting stories. We've covered 25 things dogs love the most, from belly rubs to zoom eyes, from sunbathing to playing in the snow. But if there's one thing we know for sure, it's that nothing makes a dog happier than a caring, loving owner like you. Now, if you want to keep your dog even happier and healthier, make sure to subscribe to this channel for expert pet care tips, fun facts, and must-know dog advice. It's free, and it means you'll never miss an update that could make your pup's life even better. But before you go, there's something every dog owner needs to know. There are certain foods that can be extremely dangerous, even deadly, for dogs. Some of them are common household items that many people don't realize are toxic. Want to protect your furry best friend? Click here to watch our next video, 10 Most Dangerous Foods for Dogs. Learn what to avoid, what to do in case of an emergency, and how to keep your pups safe and healthy.